Los Angeles Lakers, 53.5. Is that still the over-under house? I don't know what to man. I don't know what's going on with it.
It's the numbers are changing.
Somebody moved in and
the NBA
FanDuel odds, and they started moving it around.
Basketball is happening.
Minus 110 for the division.
52.5. What'd you say?
I said 53.5.
It was 53.5 last night.
Man, what is going on?
Right this second. I have it.
Why is FanDuel doing this to us?
They love this pod.
Conference plus 195, title plus 450. Russillo, is this the 2004 Lakers all over again? Or do we have higher hopes?
No.
Okay.
No. Because they already know that the two main pieces work together. All right. They won a title. And I think it's pretty clear that they would have done some damage last year again, too. The only reason is Vogel getting through it all, resting some guys here and there. But they're still the best team, I think, on paper right now in the West.
I agree with you. I'm interested in hearing who you think the candidates are for who's going to be bummed. Because one of the things about amassing these veterans is I've assumed, not one might assume, as I have, that all those guys have bought into whatever the configurations are. That's the whole point of going out and getting, 5 guys that are 36 years old or older. It's all leadership. It's all guys that can go with the flow. And, they're deep. They're deep. I don't understand 52.5 in any way, shape, or form.
Over for you.
Oh, it's a big over for me.
What do you have, Russillo?
I have under because I think that they're going to pace people. This is where I like the Westbrook trade is for the regular season. His energy and his care and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think he helps bring them a kind of energy throughout the regular season that'll help them get through some of those months that feel like it's slogging. But I also think that with all of these guys, that Vogel is probably going to try to play nice with everybody. Give it, hey, here's some minutes here. And then I think there's going to be a stretch where Rondo and Melo are watching Kendrick Nunn and Taylor Horton Tucker play ahead of them when it actually matters who's winning some of these games. And those guys aren't going to love that.
This is my least favorite over-under of all of them.
Well, it's because you hate the Lakers.
No, it's not. I love money more than I hate the Lakers.
That's true. I can
and I love winning this contest over you two guys, over anything I feel about the Lakers. It's hard for me to believe if they get 70 games from LeBron, 70 games from Davis, and 65 to 70 from Westbrook, that this team's not going to go 53-29.
Yeah.
But are they going to get all of those games from all those people? And I think Russillo's point about the happiness factor, it's hard not to think about it. We've seen Rondo not be happy. You also have Nunn and Monk, who I think...
Nunn could be closing with this group.
They're there because they're trying to increase their value, correct? They're hoping that they're going to be in this situation that people are going to look at them. Nunn and Monk. Yeah.
Those are the only two guys that would need that kind of nurturing we're talking about. I think everybody else, Bazemore is not going to be fighting, upset about minutes.
Well, let's just
Trevor Ariza ain't going to be mad about
why is
minutes.
DeAndre Jordan there?
Why is DeAndre Jordan
But here's the
there?
thing. I think 5 of these guys are going to be irrelevant. Like Wayne Ellington, Ariza, DeAndre Jordan was done 3 years ago.
Yep.
I don't know if Howard has anything left.
Howard's serviceable as a backup. He is.
But if
he
you're
fouls
play
the shit
Davis,
out of everybody the whole time, and he's a dirty player, but he still makes you think about hanging out down there.
But they're talking about they want to play Davis more at center and LeBron more at power forward. How much Dwight Howard are we even going to see?
Okay, but Davis has never wanted to play center before.
He said this year he wants to play.
I know that he has, and I think they only played together for 173 possessions with Davis as the center with LeBron on the floor. All right. But when they won the title, it's what they shifted. Everybody in basketball knows it's what Davis should be doing all the time. But I wonder over the course of the regular season if he's just going to, it's clearly something he's never wanted to do. Like, is he just going to say yes and do it all regular season? Or are they going to be like, hey, we're going to put Dwight out there with you a little bit to give you a break?
House, I'm going under.
It's fine.
I don't feel great about it. This team reminds me a little of the 2018 Cavs. As weird as that sounds, Davis is way better than Kevin Love was that season. But that 2018 Cavs where it was just like, they're just signing people left and right. They had Dwayne Wade and they made a bunch of trades mid-season because some of the stuff didn't work.
And Darren Williams.
Yeah. If you go look at their basketball reference, it's like 22 guys they had that season. They had Jay Crowder was there for a little while. Isaiah Thomas was there. And it just was kind of, you knew at the start of the season, this wasn't what it was going to end with. I think they have a lot of fat on this team for all the wrong reasons. I don't know. The Horton Tucker, Monk, Nunn thing. I'm not sure any of those guys make sense with LeBron James except Monk. And
I think Nunn does.
I'm a huge
Nunn does a little bit.
But do you like Nunn though? I don't. I mean, I've never really been a fan. I always felt like when the Celtics went against them in the playoffs, I was like, please play Nunn more. I'm not afraid of this guy.
Yeah, he had some really up and down moments there where he also was like, well, if I'm not scoring, what the hell am I doing out here? But I think there's a real LeBron factor that we all have to understand is that when you're out there and you're playing with him, you don't just start doing whatever you want to do.
Well, that's why Schroeder's out.
Westbrook will.
That's the other thing. It's like, I have no idea how this is going to work with Westbrook and LeBron. I've read all the stuff. I've heard all the things. And Westbrook needs the ball all the time as well. If he plays off the ball, it'd be great. Well, we saw him play off the ball with Harden, and they were fucking miserable after a year. So he's going to be happy with LeBron and Davis?
I mean, Daryl basically had to say no centers to make the Westbrook thing work. I don't care what it looks like in the regular season. I only care.
Yeah, I just think, I agree with you. I think they're the class of the West, at least from a talent standpoint. I think it's going to take a while to figure out. And I think there's real injury risk. Davis has been hurt a bunch. LeBron's in year 19. And I'm going under.
I think all those things are true. It's a solid
Phoenix,
number.
true,
I think it's a safer bet. If my life depended on it, under is safer.
Okay.
I hate it. I would never bet it.
It's
Phoenix,
a lock for me.
It's a lock for
It's a
you
lock
to go
over.
over.
Yeah.
Jesus. We haven't even gotten to the locks
53 and
yet.
29. It's crazy to me that you guys are taking the under.
Phoenix, over under is 50.5, unless that changed, like
Let's
everything
look
else
and
is
see.
changing. Division 2-1, conference plus 850, title 15-1. I like the division odds at 2-1. I think it's, in my mind, a toss up between them and the Lakers.
51 and a half.
51 and a half.
51
What the
and a half.
hell? How does all this stuff change? It's been the same for 2 weeks.
It's starting to sense like they updated it maybe the day we did this.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be it.
Come on,
It's not
FanDuel.
real time.
Interesting.
Russillo, what happens to this team if they don't lock down extensions to Ayton and Bridges?
Well, I don't think they're going to. They're $44 million away from next year's tax line, but they're going to be over that with two of those guys getting signed. So,
I brought this up with Zach last week. I'm not convinced they're going to pay Booker, Chris, Ayton, Bridges, where 3 maxes and Bridges making $25 million a year, which he's going to get in the open market. Like he just is.
Yeah, he will.
He's going to get $100 million for 4 years from somebody. He's not taking a discount on that. And if he does, he's stupid.
I'm not going to bet where I have to tell you Sarver's going to do the right thing financially. But before the Chris Paul deal was done, when he opted out, and then there was that weird week or so where it sounded like they weren't really talking, which didn't make a ton of sense, and it didn't matter. And the people were saying, Sarver, is he actually going to screw this thing up? Because if you lost Paul, then you got to revisit like the rest of those guys. And be like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? I don't think Paul really had that much interest in going anywhere else, but it was an anti-Sarver argument because of history. It's like, well, he's not going to do this with Paul. He's not going to do this with Paul. It's like, wait, why did he do this radio hit where he's like, well, we'll see. We'll just see what the market is. And remember, people were like, wait a minute, is he actually going to do this? And then he signed him for a big number and gave him the 3, maybe 4-year extension on it. So, the TV money, when's that going to kick in? 2024? So, isn't that when the new TV deal money starts or something like that?
They're going to have a year where he gets crushed by salaries. Now, maybe they can time that where it's not the TV thing. But
well, what's the franchise worth from when you bought it to what it's worth now? You know what I mean?
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
if
I know
you can't pay
right.
these guys, sell the fucking team. But I'm just saying, they're going to have 3 max guys and another guy who's worth at least Jaylen Brown money.
So you think maybe flip Bridges at some point?
No, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. This is a team that in the 2000s traded the rights to the Luol Deng pick just for a future pick and did shit like that. So
they
who
sold
knows?
the Rondo pick. They just sold
They
it.
sold
Remember how
it.
many of the picks they used to sell?
Yeah,
They just used to sell them all the time. I still have it as an over because they're really good. Their 4 guys are terrific. They brought in Shamet, which I think knocks down it's just another useful player to have out there because
they had to put him in therapy after his year with Kyrie. Kyrie couldn't stand him.
JaVale's the backup center. Cameron Johnson's a good basketball player. I'll raise my hand up on that one. Like I was like, I'm not sure if he's gonna. Even Kobe White was like, wait, how high did he go? And now when you watch him, you go, this guy's just solid everywhere with everything he does. He can.
What
handle
if Jalen Smith is like decent?
sticks.
What if he's decent? What if
I
he
liked
can
him
give
in
them
college.
15 minutes a game? I like this team too. House. I'm going over. I think this team has a real chance to be the 1 seed in the West. And everyone, if there's dialogue about who's this year's Phoenix, and I did this on the pod a few weeks ago, I think this year's Phoenix is going to be Phoenix. I like their team more than Utah. I think they let an unbelievable chance slip away in the finals. I watched 3, 4, and 5. Those games were the 2 of those games were just way closer than I think I remembered because I watched those in the moment we did pods and then it's done. But holy shit, man. If you're going to the off season, you're like, man, if Holiday throws that alley-oop, a little too high for Giannis, or we had Booker with the ball with a chance to like put away game 5. And you just go through and they were really close. So 51.5 seems that to me, they'll be better this year from what they learned from Ayton.
Yeah. I mean, we're only asking them it's the same number of wins as they had last season, except for they have 10 more games to get to the number. If they had the most regular season wins this year, 11-1. That's interesting.
Could they go 57-25?
The problem is it's a Chris Paul bet, and
him staying healthy.
I'm not willing to do it.
Could they go 57-25?
Sure, they could.
It's not unrealistic.
No, it's not unrealistic. They could.
All right, so we all like the over on that one. That might be a lock for me too. Golden State Warriors. Yikes. I can't believe I'm doing this. Their over-under is 47.5 unless it's changed. We got to be really diligent now with some of these over-unders. Division plus 550, conference plus 550, title 12-1, playing game plus 155.
47.5, right?
Yep.
That's the number.
I say this out of love for Steph Curry, my favorite non-Celtic. This is a team I really like watching. Russillo. Are we wishing this 2022 Warriors thing to happen because we like watching them? Because that number seems high when you consider Clay's not even going to be back until probably January. And
I had under
48-34. Do we want this too bad?
I talked myself out of it last year, and then I watched them put together a run that I almost thought was improbable because when Steph didn't play, this was a horrible basketball team.
Yeah.
And that's how good he was, and that's why he was in the MVP conversation towards the end. And I was like, oh, cool, playing game. Now he's not in the playoffs. Awesome system. I'm going over, and I know that's a Clay
over
projection.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
You're most surprising Zag of the day.
Their defense is really good. I think they figured some stuff out rotationally. I don't expect much from Kuminga as a rookie. I'm not even a huge Moody guy. I'm not basing this on any kind of trade. I just think that in a weird way, Steph was overlooked as a guy that was able to carry. Like I was already getting ready for my Steph defenses. We had the shields up. We were ready to go. We're putting in work. We're scouting the
You're watching Braveheart on YouTube?
Absolutely, And then Steph has that season. It was almost one of those weird seasons you could appreciate him even more than a season when they're playing in the finals because of how bad it was around him. So I do think they figured some things out there, and I think there's some guys coming back at some point where Wiseman really hurt him defensively, and now he's not available right away. I don't believe, but
how's she buying the Otto Porter?
I'm ready.
Oh my God, that's one of the.
I had 2 Warriors fans this week because I asked hey, how are you feeling? They're like, well, if Otto Porter can keep looking like this.
That's a problem.
God.
If you're saying
Don't
that to yourself out loud.
That's a
kind of like Otto Porter.
Why?
Exactly.
He's never healthy. When he's actually healthy, he's
fine at
better than some of the guys that were playing last year.
I mean, he ruined 2.5 to 3 years. It was the most predictable Grunfeld.
Yeah, I felt bad.
Our big 3, Wall, Beal, and Porter.
That was actually one of those when they did that Porter contract. I texted House the same way I would text him if there was something bad had happened in his family or something. Like, sorry, House.
I mean, Brooklyn was dying to overpay him, and the stupid Wizards matched them.
Yeah, but that's when you're just afraid to lose the asset, You go, oh, we'll do it this way. And then the next thing you know, you're attaching assets to get rid of the asset.
God damn it.
Yeah, it's weird. Usually that doesn't work out when you're afraid to lose the asset, so you match the terrible offer. I guess the Kings are the other way where they didn't match Bogdanovich. Probably should have. That's why.
Or
teams
if you
match
knew you
the
weren't
offer.
going to match him, trade him.
That's the key. That's right.
And then their argument be like, well, everybody knew that he was going to walk. It's like, all right, I don't know. You guys murder each other for second rounders every now and then.
That's right.
Act like it matters.
I'm going to make the case for the under while also keeping optimism for the Warriors. I think this is going to take like 2 months. They're going to figure out these rookies. I think they're going to be 500, maybe even a little below 500 heading into that Christmas game. There's the Wiggins, reacclimating him. He missed most of training camp. You got the Otto Porter thing. They're relying on him. We know he's going to get hurt. Wiseman, you got to figure out what you got there. They're going to rely on Iguodala early. I think he's done, unfortunately. As much
He
as
looked
I love
done.
him. Yeah, he just
Miami.
looked done last year. I hope I'm wrong. But I think until Clay comes back, this feels like a 500 team to me. So if he comes back in January, then you're talking about a guy coming off of an Achilles and a knee. I could see this team in March and April, all of a sudden, like the Warriors, 14-2 in their last 16, like one of those things.
Thompson, he said December. Myers, I think, said January. So
I didn't love the Draymond throwing Myers and Kerr under the bus with the Durant story either. Thought that was weird. And they're like, it didn't bother me. It's like, all right. Would have bothered me.
Yeah, but with Draymond, it's clear that it's just like, if Draymond, he's like Biff before they go back in time, or when he comes over and you're just like, stop this here. Just let him break shit and fucking blame us for everything. And I like Draymond more than I like Biff in the first Back to the Future. But I think you just know when you're around him, like, okay, cool, got it. Yep, thank you. You just don't want to argue with him.
It's like the blue boy in college. Is there a Draymond Ben Simmons something that could happen?
Oh, I've thought about this for way too many hours. If
they just threw in Kuminga and Draymond and they were like, let's call it a day?
I don't think I'd even give him Kuminga.
Couple picks? And could Draymond make sense in Philly? It's like, it's not crazy.
No, I think it's pretty bad in Philly. I just think it's really good for Simmons to be surrounded by shooters.
Yeah, it's great for Simmons. For Draymond, though, it's like not crazy that he could.
Oh, I think it's bad.
Would have to be rock bottom for them to have to want to do that.
Another non-spacing ball handler for who's older for Embiid. No,
but that's why you'd have to
Philly.
get Kuminga and picks if you're doing it. And then if you're the Warriors, I'd just rather keep Draymond. That's why it's not going to happen. All right, under for me, over for Russillo. House?
I'm going to do under. I think 47-35, and that is a 5 seed in the West.
I like their playing odds at plus 155. I think they're a 7 or an 8 seed. I think that if Clay was here the whole year, I'd feel great about it.
Right, obviously.
But here's what I would ask you. Why do you like Dallas so much more on paper than what Golden State is on paper right now?
Good question. Dallas was really good offensively last year. Like all their offensive numbers were pretty off the charts. And I don't know. I just feel like their team's better than it was last year.
They were
Luka's
good,
going to be a
but
year older.
They were like 8th in per 100, so it wasn't like they were.
Yeah, but remember,
tough.
There was one stretch there about halfway through the season. They tailed off at some point. And they obviously had some weird stuff with Carlisle.
And then 2 years
front
ago,
office.
they were number 1, which was crazy. They had the best per 100 2 years ago.
Clippers, 45.5. Plus 750 for division. Conference plus 550. Title 16-1, which is ludicrous. Playing plus 110. My question for you, House. What if this is just not a playoff team? We never see Kawhi.
What are the odds for them to not make the playoffs?
Well, there's no playoff odds, but there's play-in game odds, which I think play-in is realistic for them, and that's plus 110. I don't think they have a lot of above average guys on this team. Now, I don't know if playoff Reggie is going to now be regular season Reggie and they're going to become one guy. But I'm just going to list the guys who aren't Paul George: Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, Marcus Morris, Zubats, Terrence Mann, Batum, injured Ibaka, Justice Winslow, Luke Kennard. If you just cover the Paul George name, that's a below average roster. And then, so they're asking Paul George to basically be one of the top 10 players in the league. We're not seeing Kawhi this year, in my opinion. I do not think he will come back.
I'm sure at least he'll be really cool with how shares information with the team and giving them updates. So that's why I'm under, because of the Kawhi. If Kawhi were normal about injuries and we had a timetable and, instead of is his ACL torn? No, he's coming back. He's not coming back. Oh, but we've
had no communication with him for 5 months. You could
tell something was wrong when you started having the sideline reporters being like, people have been blown away by how responsive Kawhi has been and how into it. He's in the locker room cheering him on.
Yeah.
You're like, all right,
oh,
he's totally
really hurt.
He's actually hurt and checked out on these guys. So the Kawhi part of this, 47 wins in this blue collar working class part of the top end of the Western Conference. It's deep. Like it's all these
It's
teams.
45 and a half, right?
Yeah, I'll confirm.
46 and a half. I don't
It
know.
went up a win?
No,
Is that
It
possible?
was 46 and a half last night.
Oh, man. Okay. I like it even more. A lot of volatility with this Clippers market.
45 and a half right now.
Yeah, okay.
45 and a half.
45 and a half.
And you have to lay juice on the under. You have to pay minus 142 on the under.
I'm not only am I going under, I'm in the mode of I'm kind of pissed off that Tolan, the guy I shared Clippers season tickets tonight, we're gonna have to send like the playoff. You have to pay the playoff tickets ahead of time, and it's like this team's not going anywhere without Kawhi.
When is their stadium going to be done?
Oh, not till like 2025.
Oh, so that's the answer. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a shorter timetable on that. That might have been the only reason for me to think about an over. There's no way I'm taking the over.
Zion will be a great Clipper, though, when they open that place.
Wow.
That will be it. That's amazing.
I'm shocked that the over-unders this high.
But the reason why is because they shot the shit out of the ball last year.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of vets. Like you can name all those guys. Ask for Paul George. Paul George, I'm not going to say prove the doubters wrong because he gave us plenty of evidence to doubt him for years in playoff games. And guess what? Last year he stepped up.
He changed it. How about change the narrative?
I hate the word narrative because the narrative usually means it's insinuated that the narrative means the conversation around the person's inaccurate. And what it usually means is the person saying and using the word narrative doesn't like the accuracy.
How about won over some people?
Yeah, there you go. Just shut up. Huh?
No, I was trying to think of whatever the best thing would be.
Think about
Paul
how
George
well
deserved any narrative that was said about him.
Yeah.
Until he came through last year in the playoffs and played
really well.
Played fucking awesome.
Right. So they missed 38 games between them last year, and they still had a good record. They still, you know what I mean? They still actually, remember how limited time they had together and it still kind of worked and it was crazy. So I think that's why the number is what it is, because of a belief in George, guys that know their roles.
I don't believe in George as the number one guy. And I think the Kawhi thing is just so
I'm
much,
under two. I'm
so
under
much,
two.
So Kawhi was
under.
playing, would the over-under be like 54 and a half?
Yeah, sure. In the low 50s. They wouldn't put him ahead of the Lakers.
I think the over-under should be 43. So we're all going under.
I just can't wait for Kawhi updates.
Oh, God.
Next spring when it starts happening.
Rank your, oh my God. So Kyrie is 1, Ben Simmons is 2. Are the Kawhi, how's your knee doing updates? Would that be 3?
I guess I'm an old-fashioned sort over here, but, what happened to caring about team? And I'm not talking high school football varsity jacket out back looking like an asshole. I'm just, this is still about being there for your teammates. It's still about some buy-in. It's still about rowing in the same fucking direction. And for whatever reason, these guys, like not all, but there's a handful of guys that are so driven to be selfish in a way where it's like, what are you trying to prove? Like, I'm surprised you even like sports.
It's not great when it's your signature guy. At least he extended his contract.